Happy fall, y'all, and welcome to Coffee Corner. It's so good to see you guys back, and today for me, as I'm recording, is the first day of fall, so I'm very excited. I've already had fall decorations up for probably about 2 weeks, but it's officially fall. It feels like fall. Like, I feel comfortable in jeans, and in the mornings I feel comfortable in long sleeve, and it just makes me so happy that the seasons have changed. I don't really have particularly a favorite season of the year, but I do like when the seasons change. So I like when summer changes to fall, I like when fall changes to winter, I like when winter changes to spring, and so on and so forth. I like the change of seasons. But if I had to pick maybe a favorite season, it might be fall, just because I love decorating and I love the cooling off, especially where we live. It's pretty warm during the summer, so it is nice to have that little bit of reprieve from the heat. So I am excited for this time of year, and it is that time of year. If you can see from my background here, I have hot chocolate sitting out. I'm drinking mocha tonight, so just coffee and hot chocolate mix, mostly because I am recording this at night and I really needed something. I needed sugar, and coffee and mocha fit that bill very nicely. So yeah, it is fall. It's the beginning of a new season, and I hope that this season will find you in a good time, and I'm looking forward to see what the last remaining months of this year will bring and how God works through it all. So I know we've been in Psalm a lot, but it just, honestly, the last few days have been really encouraging, because it's just been a little bit on the shorter side with the Psalms, and it just has been really encouraging because a lot of them contain a lot of descriptions of Lord and a lot of attributes. So I wanted to share one psalm, and it really is like a bite-sized psalm, sort of a munchkin psalm. It's only 5 verses long, and that's Psalm 93. So I'm going to read it really quick, and then honestly, I'm just going to pick out the different attributes that the psalmist is attributing to God, and maybe we can talk about it a little bit. But sometimes it's just nice to rest in the Lord. I mean, it always is nice to rest in the Lord, but it's good just to rest in the Lord and just acknowledge who He is and how great and mighty He is. So without any further ado, let me go ahead and read Psalm 93. The Lord reigneth. He is clothed in majesty. The Lord is clothed with strength, wherewith He girded Himself. The world also is established, that it cannot be moved. Thy throne is established of old. Thou art from everlasting. The floods have lifted up, O Lord. The floods have lifted up their voice. The floods lift up their waves. The Lord on high is mightier than the noise of many waters, yea, than the mighty waves of the sea. Thy testimonies are very sure. Holiness becometh thine house, O Lord, forever. So there it is. Nice, short, sweet, but I think really just packed with praise to the Lord. And most of this praise comes directly from just acknowledging who God is and how great He is. There's actually quite a bit in verse 1. If you're looking at it, verse 1 is the longest verse in the psalm. So it says He's clothed with majesty. So that's attributing majesty to our God, and He's clothed with strength. And I think the key, and this is the attribute that really stuck out to me. The Lord is clothed with strength, wherewith He girded Himself. And that's just talking about the self-sufficiency of our God. Like, He doesn't need anyone else. He doesn't need anything else. He is strength. He is, like, every attribute of God. He is, like, that is God all at once, and He doesn't need some type of outsource to give Him strength or to give Him power. As human beings, we always have to have something outside of ourselves that gives us strength, that gives us power. We always get power or authority from something else or from someone else around us or a situation around us. But no, God has power and strength and it's not dictated by any outside source. He doesn't lose strength or lose power because of situations happening in our world. He doesn't gain, strength and power from something beyond himself. No, he is the ultimate. He is the epitome of every attribute that he has. And I think, I don't know, that just really stuck out to me because it's just good to know that he is all sufficient. He's all sufficient onto himself, but then we can work, or not really work, but we can depend was the word I was looking for. We can depend on that sufficiency that God has and that he can, give to us, and we can depend on that sufficiency, not depend on all the changing and wavering circumstances and situations that come in the world, but we can know that we have an all-sufficient God who is all-sufficient unto himself and is all-sufficient unto his people. He also goes on and he's talking about the world is established, it cannot be moved. Sort of again going back to that idea of majesty and strength, and just he controls everything. The world's not going to be moved while God is still on the throne and without his word. In the end, yes, the world will be destroyed, but that'll be in God's time and in God's will, not just because man wants to overthrow or man wants to do certain things. That never shakes God's ultimate plan, and we don't have to worry about it. And then he goes, thy throne is established forever, thou art from everlasting, talking about the eternality of God. God is not only the all-sufficient one, he's all-sufficient for all times. We don't ever have to worry that it's going to change. We don't ever have to worry that one day we're going to wake up and God's not going to be sufficient enough for our daily lives. He is going to be sufficient for all times, for everlasting. Then he talks about the floods have lifted up, and then goes on in verse 4, and he's talking about the Lord is higher. The Lord on high is mightier than the noise of many waters, yea, than the mighty waves of the sea. Just going on, the mightiest things, the noisiest things, the most powerful things that nature can throw at us. I think we recently had a hurricane down in the southern part of our country, in the peninsula of Florida recently, and I just think, there's so much strength and so much power behind the natural disasters that our world sees, but yet God is greater than that. God is mightier than that, and he controls all that ultimately. And then he goes on in verse 5 and says, thy testimonies are very sure, holiness becometh thine house, O Lord, forever. And I think it's a good way to end it. He's like, okay, God, I can trust you. Your testimonies are sure. This word that I have in front of me, I can trust it forever. Just as God is eternal, so is his word, so is his trustworthiness, his faithfulness. And this psalm is so jam-packed with so much stuff. I found it really surprising that, honestly, I learned so much from this psalm, and I was reminded of so much. And I don't know, I really enjoyed reading through the psalm. I hope that maybe you'll sit down and read it as well. I think there's so much in here. And again, it's just great to have portions of scripture where you can just sit and be amazed and be in awe at the amazingness of our God, where a psalmist is just pouring out his praise because of who God is and how great he is. And I think that is one of the wonderful things about the Psalms, is it does it over and over again. And this tiny five verse psalm is just packed with it. And I found it really encouraging just to, not really have anything super challenging in that chapter, but just to be able to sit back and revel in the amazing God that I serve, that he is an eternal God, that he's an all-sufficient God, and he's the God that I can trust forever. Well, I hope that was all encouraging to you guys as well. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe down below. That really does help me know who's watching, and sort of gives me an idea, if this is something worth continuing. I really like doing it, and I hope you guys will continue to watch. Look forward to seeing you guys next time. Bye.